everyone to our sleep workshop. I've taught this workshop. No, I haven't taught that before. I don't think I've actually ever taught this, but it's parts of it I've taught in other workshops. But it's something that I definitely see a lot of people in my practice who have issues with sleep. And I think there are some really good practices for sleep. Most people that I see are looking for something other than sleep medication. They want to understand why they can't sleep and fix that. So that's more what this workshop is about. Because there's a lot of reasons why people don't sleep. And it's very interesting as we get into sort of the brain's activity in sleep and what we're doing in sleep and why we need to sleep and things like that, that I think you'll find quite fascinating. So I'm going to start with reasons for people to have issues with insomnia. And these probably aren't going to be unusual or new to you, but just to kind of be thorough, just go over some of the common things that cause issues with sleep. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the sleep-wake cycle. And we are incredibly light-sensitive beings. And I remember reading a study once that said if you shine a flashlight on the back of someone's knee in the middle of the night, that can interrupt their sleep-wake cycle. So we need to, or the body sets its biorhythms by the light that comes into our pupils. So if people get up in the morning, like at least by 7 or 8, go outside and get daylight in their pupils, in their eyelid, goes to the back of the eye. That helps your body know, oh, it's daytime. I'm supposed to be awake. It helps to the hormonal fluctuations that happen throughout our 24-hour day adjust themselves to light and dark. It's best if you go to bed before 10 o'clock or be in bed by 10 o'clock. And you don't, as the sun goes down, you don't want to turn on a lot of bright lights to confuse the body about the sun's going down. We're winding our day down. It's time, we're going to eventually want to go to sleep. So the more you stimulate your eyes with light, the more disrupted our sleep-wake cycle becomes. And if you think about it, man lived by the light of the sun and the moon for a long time. And we still feel the pull of the sun and the moon, even though we don't feel it consciously, our body feels it. And they actually say the more water you have in your body, the more like the moon pulls the tides, the more likely you are to feel the cycle of the moon as it, changes. So, I put a little graphic in the handout that I got from traditional Chinese medicine, and it's actually looks like a yin yang symbol. It is a yin yang symbol, but it talks about the rising tide and the falling tide of the cycles of life, which are basically how we age, but also the cycle of every day, the cycle of the seasons. These are all, there's kind of like as we get older, there's a period of growth and there's a period of decline. And this is just a natural cycle that's repeated in many times in life. And so it is with the seasons. So we have to attune ourselves to these rhythms and not try to fight them, because people who work the night shift, and I hope I'm not going to disturb someone who has to work nights, but they actually have higher rates of cancer because of the abnormal hormonal fluctuations actually affect your immune system too. So I think it's important to try to again adjust our daily sleep wake cycle to these natural rhythms. And when the sun goes down, you don't want to turn on a lot of bright lights to compensate for the darkness. I mean, yeah, we need light, but just not anything really too bright. There's also a picture at the bottom of the graphic I gave you about this is from traditional Chinese medicine, how each hour of the day your energy cycles through different organ systems. So they say in Chinese medicine, you need to be in bed by 10 o'clock because that's when the liver, the circulation is moved to cleanse the liver and the gallbladder. And if you're not in bed at 10 o'clock, then you miss that cleansing. Your body isn't able to do that. And then it goes on to the lung and the stomach and the spleen. So there's this cycle of how um, circulation moves through your body that's also interrupted by abnormal sleep wake cycles. So I often tell people, get up and get outside by 8 in the morning. If you have trouble with your sleep wake cycle, that can help. There's also a supplement that helps enhance that light reset. Um, it's called Seraphos, and it's phosphorylated serine that um, it actually helps memory, but it works on the brain and it helps to adjust sleep wake cycles. Let me see. So cortisol levels are also very important in our sleep wake cycle. That cortisol levels there are steroid levels made by our adrenal glands, and they should be highest in the morning when we wake up, and they drop down to about noontime, and then they should level off. And then at nighttime, they go down to their lowest level at midnight, at which time they start to go back up. And um, many people who, again, are sleeping irregular, their cortisol level gets flipped, where it's high at night and low in the morning. And of course, then they don't want to go to sleep at night because their cortisol levels are high. So there's ways to reset the cortisol cycle that's also helpful for a lot of people, and it involves, going to bed, by 10 and getting up by 7 at least, and taking this supplement that has the phosphorylated serine. It's not phosphorylated serine, but it's similar to that. Um, that will help people. But I know that uh, some people just have, because if they're highly stressed, your cortisol levels are going to be really high in some people, and that also makes it harder to unwind and go to sleep. So managing stress can also help the cortisol levels come down to a normal level. Sleep apnea, of course, is another cause of issues with sleep, and that's where the tongue actually occludes the throat, and you become oxygen deprived at nighttime, and your body senses that, and it wakes up so you can breathe. And of course, people use CPAP machines to try to get the oxygen or the air to go down the throat. But there is a way out of sleep apnea, doing exercises to strengthen the soft palate, because the soft palate is actually a diaphragm in your throat. It's a muscle, and it can be strengthened to create more space in the back of your throat. Now, a lot of people who have sleep apnea are overweight and they have to work on that, but I have seen a few people reverse their sleep apnea with diligent practice of working with the soft palate. It's called Jalangaraband. It's a diaphragm in your throat that is used to decompress your neck in yoga. And if you really work with that, I've seen people, again, with a lot of effort, reverse their sleep apnea. Then we have things like restless leg syndrome, where usually it's a circulation issue where people's legs, they can't relax at nighttime. They always want to move. They have this feeling like they can't be still. Their legs kind of like tingle or itch or jump around, and it's really hard to settle down and go to sleep. Oftentimes, these people are missing certain minerals in their body, or they have bad circulation, and so their body is like, again, trying to get movement to create more circulation. So that those are kind of remedied by sometimes things like calcium and magnesium will help to relax the muscles. There's some good Chinese herbs that also help to relax the leg muscles. Oftentimes, anxiety is what causes people's sleep problems, and that's probably the most common thing that I see that interrupts people's sleep is the mind being anxious and jumping around and can't clear your mind, can't get it to be still. We're going to spend a lot of time on that. And we're going to do some practices that completely quiet your mind. Uh, and they're very, very effective meditations for that. Breathing is also crucial for calming anxiety down. And eye movement is also very, very good at calming your nervous system down. So let me stop and talk about the nervous system a little bit. There's a handout there's a graphic on the handout that talks about the central nervous system is divided into what we call sympathetic, which is fight or flight, and parasympathetic, which is resting and restorative functions. When we inhale, okay, so breathe, there's two ways that we can access our central nervous system. One is through breathing, and the other is through eye movement. Breathing, both of those functions are conscious and unconscious, and that's how they give us conscious access. So we can learn to calm our nervous system down by breathing slower and deeper. And there are certain eye movements that will also make our nervous system shift out of fight or flight and into resting and restorative functions. And they're very, very effective for anxiety. So the breath practice that how I explain the how you can use breathing to relieve anxiety is there's four parts to the breath. You can inhale, you can hold your breath in, you can exhale, and you can hold your breath out. The more we inhale and hold our breath in, which is what people do who have anxiety, the more that makes your anxiety worse. If you can exhale and hold your breath out, that's going to calm your nervous system. But it takes a lot of self-control to be able to do that because you keep wanting to inhale, but you have to just tell yourself, no, I'm not going to die if I hold my breath out for 3 seconds. I can hold it out. I know I can do this. And you gradually build up the capacity and the control to breathe slower and breathe deeper. And we're going to do some practices with that too. So they say the average person takes 16 breaths a minute. That's a 2-second inhale and a 2-second exhale. So I want my patients and people who have issues with sleep to be comfortable with 4 breaths a minute. It's not that hard to breathe 4 breaths a minute. It's hard to breathe 1 breath a minute. And there's a meditation we're going to do that asks for you to breathe 1 breath a minute. That's not easy. That takes a lot of practice. But again, if most people are breathing 16 breaths a minute, it's a huge difference to get down to 4 breaths a minute. Your body will be a lot calmer. And these are things that you can do before you go to bed, or if you wake up at night and your mind is going, and we're gonna talk about that too. But you can focus on your breathing. When you focus on your breathing, you let go of all the other thoughts that are probably what's waking you up, what's making you anxious. So focusing on breathing is good for both of those things because it teaches you how to calm yourself down, but it's also helping you to let go of other thoughts that are keeping you awake at night. Clearing the subconscious, we'll talk about that too. So again, the two functions that give us conscious access to our autonomic nervous system are breathing, and the second is eye movement. And the reason eye movement is effective for calming the nervous system is because primal man used her eyes to see danger. So when we, you hear something that maybe isn't right, say you're at home at night and you hear something, your eyes start looking for what is out there. And so the more you activate your eyes, the more your nervous system revs up. And so a lot of people, when they want to go to sleep, they watch TV or they read. That is not calming your eyes down. That's stimulating your eyes. So contrary to what most people think, I do not recommend you watch TV at night or you read a book to go before you go to bed, because that's going to rev up your nervous system. It is not, maybe you'll watch TV until you're bored or tired, but watching TV by itself is not something that slows down your brainwave patterns and helps you go to sleep. So the much better is to do breathing meditation, something that takes your attention inward, not outward. And you listen to your internal dialogue more. You get rid of some of the thoughts that are stressing you out. And we'll again go into much more detail about that. But those two skills, if you develop them, you will have much more ability to relax and go to sleep when you choose and not be run around by the mind and stress. It's really very possible. It's not that, I mean, some practices in yoga are very, very difficult, but eye movement and breathing, everyone can master those. Everyone can do those and really feel a huge difference in your ability to calm yourself down. And it feels good when you can do that. I mean, it doesn't feel good when your mind is running away and you have this panicky feeling and you can't get out of it. That's a terrible feeling. And yet we can, with the right knowledge, completely let go of that, completely put that aside and say, that's no longer a problem I have to deal with. I know what to do. I know how to make my body calm down and my thoughts to quiet down so I can rest and I don't feel stressed. So we will definitely work on that. So digestive problems sometimes cause people to stay awake at night. In ancient medicine, they say 90% of health problems start with the gut. That our digestion, they say, is the hardest thing our body has to do. Digest our food, absorb the nutrients from it, and get rid of the waste. That's a difficult process, and lots of people have problems with it. And sometimes people aren't aware that they're having digestive problems because our innervation to the gut is minimal. We don't have pain receptors in the digestive system at all. We have the only kind of sensory receptors that we have are ones that feel pressure. So if you're gassy and bloated, you feel that, but you don't feel, if you have a GI bleed, you don't feel that. You don't have those kind of nerves in your gut. So a lot of our GI problems are almost subclinical. People aren't even aware that they're having them. But they can cause this discomfort or uneasiness, or if you're having reflux, certainly sometimes that wakes people up. I suggest people eat a light dinner. A lot of people in ancient medicine, they say your biggest meal should be lunch. That's when your digestion is strongest. They say when the sun is highest in the sky, that's when you should eat your biggest meal. That's when your digestion is the strongest, and that's when you need the energy. You don't need the energy of food to go to sleep. So your food basically putrefies in your gut. You eat a late dinner, you go to sleep, it just sits there. You don't digest that food, so in the morning it's kind of rotten. And then your stomach doesn't feel, it doesn't feel good, so that can interrupt sleep. So I recommend people eat light in the evening. Your biggest meal should be lunch. Breakfast and lunch should be substantial. Dinner should be light and relatively early if you're having issues with sleep. And that isn't a popular idea for a lot of people, but I do suggest that you work with that. And Alcohol is not helpful. It may help you go to sleep, but it will not help you stay asleep. And it interrupts the sleep wake cycle in the long run because it disturbs the liver. And the liver is what wakes you up around 2 in the morning. So if you wake up at 2 in the morning, you're likely to have some liver issues. Chronic pain is another reason for people to not sleep well. And most people know that they have pain and know that's why they're waking up, but some people don't. Um, Especially again, GI pain is something that a lot of people aren't really aware of. I recommend people do a little stretching before they go to bed at night. It's also part of what helps to relax your body. Do some breathing meditation. Sometimes that can help chronic pain. But of course, getting to the root of the problem of chronic pain is going to be important, um, and so that's something that has to be individually assessed. So next, we're going to talk about just some simple things about getting ready to go to sleep. Um, so if we don't want to watch TV and read, then what do we do before we go to bed? Taking a bath is nice. Listening to soothing sounds. If you listen to soft music or the sound of the ocean or something, the rain, things that whatever calmed your nervous system down, that kind of sound is good to listen to relax with instead of using something that stimulates your eyes. Let's see. Or doing eye exercises. So, eye exercises, I'm going to just teach you a couple of really, really simple eye exercises. There's a whole there's a whole set of eye exercises that's called for inner and outer vision that's really amazing for making you feel calm and relaxed, actually euphoric, truly euphoric. And the eye exercises are that we're going to do stimulate the pituitary and pineal gland. Well, your pineal gland is what secretes melatonin, and it also secretes a huge number of our endorphins, and what's even called the truth serum. So the truth serum is what people who have near death experiences all kind of have the same sort of experience of feeling like um, you're connected with the divine. You're seeing all of life and it's all beautiful, and um, you know that something's not right. You don't feel good, but it doesn't matter because everything's cool. You know that, and these endorphins are very powerful for elevating your consciousness and making you feel blissful. And those we can access. We're able to access those with eye movement. So I'm going to do a couple simple things. So if you'll sit up tall wherever you're sitting, we're going to start with just really basic ones that have to do with moving your eyes left, right, up, down, and circles. And then we'll go into some more profound ones. And again, there's whole sets of exercises that work on this. But if you just sit up nice and tall in your chair, and we're going to inhale, and I want you to not move your head, but you're going to inhale and you're going to look as far to the left as you can and hold your breath in 10 or 15 seconds, whatever you can do comfortably. And then you're going to exhale and move your eyes to the right and hold your breath out the same amount of time you held your breath in. So it's harder to hold your breath out, so don't overestimate. And you're going to keep doing that. You're going to inhale, look to the left, count like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then shift your eyes to the right. Hold your breath out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now go at your own pace, looking to the left, holding your breath in. Look as far to the left as you can, and when you need to exhale, then shift your eyes, look to the right, hold your breath out, same amount of time you held your breath in. We're going to do it for a couple of minutes. Now close your eyes. Just take a couple of deep breaths and then just notice how you feel. Now open your eyes. It was nice, wasn't it? Doesn't take that long. So now we're going to use a gaze to stimulate the pineal gland where with your eyes closed, you're going to imagine you're going to look out the top of your head. So close your eyes, tuck the chin under, imagine you're trying to look straight out of the top of your head. Just normal breathing. Now relax your eyes and keep them closed for a moment and just notice again how you feel. And then we're going to want you to interlace your fingers, and I want you to point your index finger up. I want you to bring your hand right over the top of your head. And now again, focus your eyes to look upward. Long, deep breathing. Breathe from your navel, not your chest. So you pull your belly button back toward your spine to exhale. When you inhale, your navel moves forward, your belly expands. Now bring your hands down. Keep your eyes closed. Notice how you feel. And then opening your eyes. See, that worked, didn't it? Just quiet your mind down. So these are simple things, and there's way more. There's an ocean of information about eye exercises. Those are just a couple of very, very simple ones. But that can work even if you wake up in the middle of the night. You can do that, moving the eyes to the left and to the right, laying in bed. And it helps your body to completely relax so you can go back to sleep. It helps to detach you from your thoughts. So these things are practical. They don't cost any money, and they're available all the time. These are practices. The more you do them, the easier they are, and the more quickly you get the benefit from them. So that's just a little taste. Again, there's much more information about that, but think about that at nighttime. That don't stimulate your eyes to be out here in this realm. Stimulate your eyes so you go inside your body and relax. Okay, very different kind of eye work, and is very effective. So listen to soothing sounds at nighttime and relax your eyes. Okay, that's not watching TV. I'm reading books. I think this other technique will help you calm your nervous system down much better. And again, eating a light dinner early. And when if you've been busy all day and your mind is kind of jumbled up and you can't seem to get rid of your thoughts, I'm going to teach you a meditation that also is said to zero the mind, thoughtlessness. Mm-hmm. And there's technique always involved in these. And the technique in this meditation that zeroes your mind is gazing at the tip of your nose. So you can't really see the tip of your nose, but if you put your finger there, And you can see the tip of your finger and then kind of hold your gaze at that point. That's when you're going to gaze. And it's a very annoying gaze because it makes your forehead feel heavy. And you eventually will move your eyes. After you practice it, you get better at not moving your eyes. But when it gets uncomfortable, your eyes want to move. Okay, that's the first part of this practice. Gazing at the tip of your nose. And uh, the hand position is the right hand is in a fist. Yeah, the right hand is in a fist. The left palm is facing up. The breath pattern is to inhale comfortably, exhale comfortably, all your air out, and hold your breath out as long as you can comfortably. We're going to do it for 3 minutes. Okay, it's an 11-minute meditation. We're going to do it for 3 minutes. Okay, so close your eyes. I'm sorry, don't close your eye. Look at the tip of your nose, that annoying gaze, and begin the breath pattern. Inhaling comfortably, exhaling comfortably, holding your breath out comfortably. Now relax your eyes, let them close, put your hands down. Observe the mind, watch your breath, experience the stillness. open your eyes. Kind of nice to get the mind to be quiet. Actually, I practiced that meditation for a long time, and it was the first time I picked that meditation to do because the first time I did it was the first time I ever felt my mind zero, quiet, no chatter. So I know it's a very, very effective meditation. So I'm giving you lots of different practices and things to do. But if you find one that just sort of like, yeah, that one really felt good. That's what you need to start practicing. And you know, you can practice any time of day. I mean, I practice that meditation in the morning, but I know it helped me when I went to sleep at night too, because I could clear my mind. I knew what it felt like to have my mind quiet. So the idea is to find a place at home to do your practice, whether it's just starting off by practicing breathing, where you're more conscious of how long your inhale compared to your exhale is, and that you're pausing at the end of your exhale so that you're really paying attention to your breath. So you find a place to practice every day, preferably the same time. You make that spot a nice place to go to. So you look forward to doing your practice. And you make a commitment to do it for 40 days. After 40 days, they say it's become a habit, and it's easier to just keep in that that's your time of day, that's where you go, and you don't want to miss it because you realize it's helping you feel better, and it's not something that you want to stop. You don't have to talk yourself into it. Usually your body knows that, yeah, I think I'm, uh, it's looking forward to doing the practice. So, those are just, like doing the meditation before you go to bed. If you come home from work, your mind is full of chatter and it can't slow down. You can do it when you come home from work. You can do it before you go to bed. You can do it when you get out of bed. There's all different ways to do it. You have to find what works best for you. So the time of day, the place, and the commitment to do it is what it takes. And then it sustains itself. You realize you don't want to stop it because it's helping. It makes a big difference. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about the mind because um, I never really found Western medicine to have, in my medical school, a really practical understanding of what the mind is. I found much better practical understanding in the theory of yoga. And a lot of what I'm talking to you today about, let me go get the book that I'm referencing a lot. The book is called Yoga and Psychology and the Evolution of Consciousness. It's written by Swami Rama Rudolph Ballantyne, and there's Swami somebody. But this book was published, I think, yeah, 1976, but you can still get it. I think it's a marvelous book about the mind and just the psychology. This is, again, yoga psychology and the evolution of our consciousness. It has really practical, it's an easy read, it's not too complicated, fascinating book that I took some of what we're talking about today from this book. We're going more into the mind and why the mind is hard for us to understand, and yet that's what's keeping a lot of people awake at night is they can't turn the mind off. And these concepts, I think, are very practical and helpful for how to get to manage the mind. And the meditations also, because they do help you to zero the mind, get your mind to stop the chatter. But I want to step back and kind of get a better overview of what the mind is, at least as defined in yoga, and how we can access our ability to manage the mind in a healthy way. So I have a picture in the handout that's called Aspects of the Mind, and these are concepts from ancient yoga and Ayurvedic medicine. They sort of blend at some point, but we're thought to have a dual nature in the theory of yoga and in the sutras. So we have the ego and we have the soul. So the ego is the soul is our essence. That's our what we get from God. We get the soul, we get the spirit. The ego is what gives us our self-identity so that we can exist in this realm separate from everybody else. And the mind is the swing that can take us, the mind, either way. So the story goes that God wanted to send the soul to earth, and the soul said, I don't want to go. And God said, we have to go. And so kept saying, well, I don't want to go. So God said, okay, I'll give you the mind. And the mind will always take you back to me. So that's the concept of the mind, that it can connect us to our ability to be part of everything, be one with all, but it also gives us this separate identity where we're an individual. And the mind has what we call ego, they call ahankar. And that's so we feel separate. We have what's called manas, which is the lower mind, which basically brings in all of our senses, so it's how we balance and how we taste and feel and touch and all these other senses. And then we have buddhi, which is our higher consciousness that makes higher decisions and is more discerning about what we should and shouldn't do, and more has a sense of what's right and wrong. And then we have chitta. Chitta is the memory bank, and there's the unconscious, the subconscious, and the conscious mind. And a lot of what drives our behavior is what's stuck in our subconscious or unconscious mind. And we're not even aware of, why do I keep wanting to eat all the whole cake when I don't really want it? There's something, it's a voice in there that's not quite at the conscious level, but something that's agitating a person usually, or there's something driving behavior that's below the awareness, the self-awareness. And so we have to, that memory bank or the subconscious mind is something we have to start clearing out the garbage. Otherwise it keeps bubbling up and it keeps interfering with our decision making and our ability to be happy and our sense of what we need to do and our behavior. A lot of addictive behavior is based on our subconscious mind. It's not even, again, it's not really at the conscious level, but it's affecting our behavior. So that's a lot of what meditation does, is to clear the subconscious. And one teacher said, you take a bath every day so your body doesn't stink, right? But what do you do to clean your mind every day? Because it starts to stink too. And that's what meditation is supposed to be doing, is clearing our subconscious, is clearing out the backlog of thoughts. It's usually the meanest thing somebody ever said to you, or the most embarrassed you ever were, or, all this negative stuff is bubbling up to the surface, and yet sometimes it's not at a conscious level, but we don't feel good. So we want to do something to make ourselves feel better. So we go eat the whole chocolate cake, or we take heroin, or we, all the addictions are sort of trying to comfort ourselves and divert our attention from the real problem, from what's really bothering us, a distraction basically. And I think that helps. To me, it was helpful to have that understanding so that I could begin to listen to my mind and sort things out and sort out what is the memory and what is, what is my attachment to that memory and why does it keep coming up and how do I let go of it? And all these questions came up, and um, we're not really, again, taught very much about how to manage our mind or how do we clear these thoughts. They say the more that we think about something, so more thought bubbles up from our unconscious to our conscious mind. And if we start attaching emotions to it and another whole story about it, and we make it heavier and it sinks back down to the unconscious and it's even stronger. Whereas if it bubbles up and we can let it go, they say it's like the bubbles in a glass of champagne. They bubble up and then they burst and they it goes away. That's what we have to do with some of these thoughts, is actually consciously let it go. Say, you know what? I'm okay with this now. I understand what I did and why I did it, and it's all right. And now I'm just going to let it go. There's not this angst of like, oh my God, why did I do that? And the whole dialogue that goes along with shaming yourself or whatever, so that it becomes even more powerful and is stuck there in our mind. So the process of meditation and breathing and sitting still and listening can be what cleanses all of that memory bank out, so that we're not motivated by these subconscious thoughts. So um, that's a lot of what breathing and meditation help us to do, is get quiet enough to where we're hearing the thoughts that are uncomfortable, and then we're able to sort of shift our what to do about it and how we see it, and let go of it, so that it's no longer ruminating and taking energy and distracting us from what we do want to do, who we do want to become. So um, so attachment to thoughts of losing something or not being able to get something is what creates a lot of anxiety. So when people wake up at night, sometimes they find themselves ruminating about thoughts like this. They're remembering things and going over what happened at the office, or the argument that you had with your spouse, and there's not an ability to let go of it, so it keeps coming back around and agitating and becoming more powerful, and yet we're not able to figure out how to let it go and how to release it. um, that's again what I think meditation is very helpful for, is cleaning out the subconscious, cleaning out the backlog of thoughts. And sometimes, when I was meditating, a thought would come up and it's like, oh wow, that has been bugging me. I didn't realize it, but that really is something I need to understand better so I can let go of it. And that's also where mantra is very powerful, because mantra gives you a verbal phrase that can push out the thought that you don't want. And so the more you practice a mantra, and mantras can be, you can make up your own mantra. It's just a sound wave that creates what's called a sustained brainwave pattern. So brainwave patterns sometimes we'll see, are kind of chaotic, and as we're just thinking. And when you focus on a mantra, it creates the same pattern over and over and over again, so that you're creating a very specific neurotransmitter combination, a mental state that you can sustain. And that sustained brainwave pattern tends to um, lessen the brain's pattern of going back to that and creating that other cycle of thoughts. So mantra can be, and like I said, you can make up your own mantra. There's mantras throughout the ages, different languages, but they really do help to give you something to put in place of the thought pattern that's repetitive that you don't seem to be able to let go of. And so I encourage people with issues of not being able to let go to explore the concept of mantra. And again, it can be a prayer that you recite. It can be something you make up yourself. They're all valid, and some of them are very ancient and revered. But there's no limit to what a person can do with sound and thought by repeating phrases. Let me see. The other thing that is very important that I want you to walk away with is that most of us, when we're in a negative mindset or we're in a repetitive pattern or we can't relax, is because we're thinking verbally. If we shift and start thinking in nonverbal terms and use imagery, that changes your mind. I mean, how can I say this? It is more effective at creating what we want. So people that can't get out of stress patterns in their mind are always thinking on a verbal level. And what creates a huge shift in the brain is when you use visualization instead of words. Where you visualize instead of, well, what can I say to this person that might make them feel better at work? Well, you visualize it. You visualize interacting with someone at work in a different way. If you can visualize it, you can do it. Saying it in your head, what's going to happen, doesn't work the same. So visualization is hugely important and helpful. They say, like, people who were trying to warm their hands, do the thing with biofeedback where they warm their hands. They would say, make my hands warm. I'm going to make my hands warm. It didn't work. If they visualize their hands becoming warmer, then their hands became warmer. So visualization is what we need to develop our ability to visualize versus using a verbal description of the same thing. So you can say, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to shake their hand. I'm going to say, I'm sorry. That doesn't work as well as if you visualize you're walking up to that person, you're shaking their hand and you're looking in their eyes and they're saying, I'm sorry. That is far more effective in actually changing the pattern of thought if we use images instead of words. So people who wake up at night and again, they're scared, they're mad, they're whatever, you use your power of imagery to create something that's calming, that's a happy ending. And you're much more likely to be able to go back to sleep and feel at peace with it. All right. So one of the exercises I want to do today is where we do a little bit of that. Actually, yoga nidra is a whole set of yoga that works with visualization and sleep and is a very powerful practice for both creating what you want in your life as well as getting better sleep. Little background noise. Let's see. So let's do another practice. And this practice is called the Shabad Guru, and it is a specific practice for insomnia. It is called a 22 count breath pattern. So 11 is a master number. So 22 is like a double master number. And what we do is it's a segmented breath pattern where you inhale in 4 sniffs and mentally vibrate the sound sa ta na ma, or you could do do re mi, whatever. I mean, traditionally we use the sa ta na ma. Sa ta na ma comes from what's called the bij mantra, or the root mantra sat, which means truth. Nam, name. Truth is my name. Truth is my identity. That's what sat nam means. But they've shown that mantras, I mean, you can get equal benefit to these segmented breath patterns, whether you use an ancient mantra or make up your own. So it's okay if you want to make up your own. If you're not comfortable with the mantra that I recommend, then make up your own mantra. Sa means infinity, ta means life, na means death, ma means rebirth. So it's the cycle of life. Sata nama. You say it once on your inhale. So I'm going to take 4 sniffs in. Mentally, I'm vibrating Sata nama. I'm going to hold the breath for the count of 16. 4 repetitions of Satanama. Satanama, Satanama, Satanama. That's 16 counts. You exhale 2 counts. Waheguru. Waheguru means great and beyond comprehension is the wisdom of the divine. So that takes a lot of breath control to do a 22 count breath pattern. But if you can't hold your breath in 22 counts, just start with what you can do. Do 12 count, whatever is possible. I mean, is doable. So let's try the Shabaguru. Let's do it for a half time, 5.5 minutes. Okay. So sitting in a comfortable position.
Kari?
Yeah. Yes?
Can you just, it's Mary.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I don't have video
Okay.
on.
No.
Can you just repeat that?
The breath pattern?
Yeah, it's the Waheguru part that I'm not sure how long that is compared to the 4 breaths in.
It's the same, so it's, if I do sa, ta, na, ma, and then I'm holding the breath in, it's the same sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma. Okay, 16 counts. And then you exhale, wahe, guru, 2 counts. And you can again use your own, you don't have to use the mantra. You can use whatever you want, but that's just the traditional pattern, is to use the mantra. But they've shown that, in other mantra practices where they actually did, Alzheimer's Institute studied one of these mantra practices, and it didn't matter whether they used satanama or do re mi. So it's the segmented breath pattern. But I like using the mantras because I think they have meaning that's important to me, but everybody's different. Okay. So one more time. Sa ta na ma, once on the inhale, segmented breath. Then you hold, mentally saying sa ta na ma 4 times. You exhale, wahe guru, 2 segments in your exhale. Then you start all over again. Okay?
Are your eyes closed?
You're looking at the tip of your nose. That's
That
annoying gaze. I never liked that, but it actually, that's part of what makes your mind still. So go ahead and start. Now relax your breath pattern and just sit for a minute. Watch the mind. Watch your breath. And then opening your eyes. You were nodding off. I think that worked for you.
I've been working hard on this.
So that's been studied. Different studies have been done on that particular meditation to show it is effective for insomnia. Um, but I think again we have to be looking at not one thing as being the answer, but understanding ourselves and understanding the mind and understanding what it is that um, is out of balance in your body, because it's not the same for every person. It certainly needs to be individualized. But I do find that a pretty powerful meditation for helping people sleep, and it's ideally done before bed, before you go to bed. Yeah, I know. I went to visit a friend once, and she was having issues with insomnia, and I taught her this meditation, and she she uh, she only made it into like 10 minutes. And she says, "I'm too sleepy. I have to go to bed." So it can be very helpful. But what I want to go into next is a little bit more intriguing. I mean, I find sleep intriguing because what is sleep? And this is what we're going to actually talk about a little bit: is what is sleep and why are we doing it and what does it really mean? Um, and again, much of this comes from this book, Yoga and Psychotherapy. There were some studies that the Himalayan Institute did on sleep that were really interesting and showed some of these things I'm going to be talking about, that sleep, why do we need to sleep? Well, it's kind of consensus now that there's two things that we do in sleep. One is rapid eye movement where we're dreaming, and the other is deep sleep. So let's talk about our brainwave patterns a little bit first. So in the day, during the day when we're up moving about, we're mostly in a beta brainwave pattern that's kind of erratic and short. I mean, it's not a lot of amplitude, but it's very rapid and kind of jerky pattern. And then a little bit slower than that are the alpha waves. We're a little bit calmer, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more in a mentally not as active, or emotionally not as active. And when we go into uh, sleep, we go into um, theta wave patterns where the brainwave patterns are slower, but the slowest ones are the delta brainwave patterns, and that's when we're in deep sleep. And there are people who have practiced meditation for a long time that can go directly into the delta brainwave pattern, but most people don't reach that when they're meditating. They're not able to get their brainwaves that into that deeper rhythm. They say when that there's a sense of reverie, there's a sense of being connected to everything and everyone, and a deep, meaningful experience of being connected with infinity, with the divine, or whatever you want to call it. There's um, I want to say an ecstasy with that because it's just a blissful feeling. And um, so people that meditate, that have meditated for a long time and meditate regularly, they were experimenting with Swami Rama, who could put himself into that delta pattern. Um, Certainly, the theta pattern was pretty easy for him, but they found that he could go into the delta. And what's interesting about one of their experiments was he put himself in the delta state, and he was laying down. And everyone thought he was asleep. And they had someone, he didn't know this was going to happen, but someone walked into the room and made four statements and then walked out of the room. And he recited word by word what the woman said when she came in, and the sound of her heels clicking on the floor as she came and went out. So he was completely aware of what was going on in the room, even though he was in the deepest sleep brainwave pattern that we can identify. So that there are people who um, uh, can bring themselves in and out of these states voluntarily, but most of us are unaware of our, we don't have any thoughts coming back from deep sleep. That it's sort of like it can't be integrated into this realm. It's sort of, it's more like when you have a near death experience and you have the sense of being connected with everything and everyone. That's sort of what that delta brainwave pattern is saying, is that we're experiencing a different state of reality, and it's quite blissful. So it's thought that when we are dreaming, that we are processing all the thoughts that are stuck in our subconscious. That's the time, and that's why people feel like they're going crazy when they don't sleep, because all that subconscious stuff is building up in their head. And they sometimes, can't, people who have they have really bad insomnia and they haven't slept for a long time, they can't tell if what they remembered is dreaming or not. That's how confused they get about what's real and what's not real, what's in their head and what's in the outer worlds. It's very hard for them to understand that. They get disoriented. um, and there've been studies done that show people who meditate can put themselves in specific brainwave patterns, but the theta pattern is not many people can do that. You have to be a pretty experienced meditator to be able to do that. And yet they think that some people who don't require much sleep, like only a couple hours a night, that they put themselves in that pattern and can get that deep sleep without actually going to sleep. They're um, able to regulate their brainwave patterns in a very sophisticated way. So um, this is why I think meditation is helpful, because it's giving us this opportunity to change our brainwave patterns. But the need for sleep is basically because our unconscious gets so clogged up with too many thoughts, too many memories, too much garbage that it's we can't function. So we need sleep to clear all of that and make some kind of sense of it, so that we can um, navigate in this realm. So we have a neuroscan at the Wellness Center that measures people's brainwave patterns and can identify and make diagnoses based on abnormal brain waves, which is much more accurate than just basing a diagnosis on symptoms, because I know I've seen a lot of misdiagnoses after seeing the brainwave patterns that no, they didn't really have dementia. In one case, this person had horrible PTSD, but they couldn't discern it because they weren't looking for any kind of specific information. And can do a type of neurobiofeedback where it corrects the brainwave patterns. So I've seen dementia go away with neurobiofeedback, be completely resolved. Now the person has to either do some kind of maintenance brainwave biofeedback or meditation to maintain the pattern, that the healthy pattern that they've created. But it's very interesting that we are able to identify now and more accurately diagnose issues and can use electricity basically to correct brainwave patterns and correct um, many psychological disorders, including ADD, ADHD, and PTSD, and all those diagnoses with letters.
Lots of letters.
Not the letters. That and yet we can also use meditations to also correct those brainwave patterns. There's specific meditations for ADHD, for dementia, for PTSD, and these meditations also work. They take effort, they take time, but they can be equally effective. So this to me is very, very interesting, and I think we're on the verge of maybe revolutionizing how we go about treating some of our psychological and psychiatric issues. Certainly, maybe more accurately understanding what's going on with the brain and have some choices about maybe not just taking medications, which sometimes have a lot of side effects that are as bad or yeah, as what the problem is. So I'm optimistic that we also will be able to use meditations, understanding how those change our brainwave patterns, and they don't cost anything. Brainwave biofeedback costs something, but meditations don't. And there have been significant amount of studies done on some of these meditations to say, yes, they do work. And my experience has been also, yes, they do work. And so it's a whole new frontier in terms of understanding our psychological diagnoses and whether or not medication is the most effective tool for fixing those problems. I think we will see more integration of other modalities because I think they're more effective and without side effects, and maybe more correctly addressing the root of the problem. So, the ability for us to uh, regulate sleep has a lot to do with how chaotic, I want to say, how chaotic or erratic our brainwave patterns are. And the more we, use our breathing and mantra and meditation to kind of correct those brainwave patterns, I know that people's sleep and mood and uh, other things that are out of balance start to get much better. But I also wanted to show you, there's a graph I have on the handout that shows the pattern of when people go into deep sleep, their brainwave patterns really slow down, and then they come out of deep sleep up to dreaming, and there's that rapid eye movement, the brain's very active, and people go into and out of that deep sleep and REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep, several times at night. And the dreaming is again to help us process the subconscious thoughts, the things that are under the surface, but they're unsettling to us, and we need to process them. And if we don't do it consciously during the day, we try to do it unconsciously at night through dreams. And then we go into deep sleep where we actually, my understanding is that's when we we basically experience out of the body stuff, where we feel connected to everything and everyone, and one with the divine. And that's why deep sleep is so nourishing, because we can't handle the chaos out here all the time. We need that deep understanding that I am more than just myself. And everybody that I've ever read with a near-death experience has the same thing to say, that they cross over, and they feel that everything is one, and they experience God in some form or feeling, and it's blissful. They never come back and say, hey, I don't want to go there again. They come back and it's like, I want to go back there again. That was wonderful, because it changes their life. It changes their perspective on life, because it was so beautiful. And that's actually where we're going in deep sleep, is that we're back in that place where we feel at one with the universe, and that is what we're seeking. And it's so um, again, I want to use the word nourishing, that we have to have that. We have to have that deep sleep to be able to cope with the this Maya, this realm of illusion. And the more we can go into meditation and also experience that sense of deep connection, the less sleep we need. The more we have unresolved conflicts and we're wrestling with unresolved feelings, the more we need to sleep, because we're not able to come to terms with it. And it's in our subconscious, and it comes up and it interferes with our thinking and drives what I call bad behavior, because it's uncomfortable. It's like, I don't know what this is, but it's making me feel awful, so I'm going to go eat a cookie. I'm going to do something that makes me feel good, because I can't, whatever it is back there in my mind, I don't want to address it. So sleep is really essential for our health. And yet the more we meditate, apparently, and the more we get to that place where we feel the background of thoughts is minimal, the less sleep we need. And so I think that's, again, hopefully a incentive to do a little more meditation, because of the skill, basically, that you achieve in being able to find your way back to that place of feeling connected and peaceful and blissful. So let me just cover a couple of other things, and then I'd like to take questions. Not that I can maybe answer them, but so let's see. We talked about rapid eye movement. And sleep varies considerably from person to person, but they say that indicates a need for more dreaming. When parts of our lives and experiences are not integrated into our awareness, it seems that we must deal with it in our dreams. Then the people, who don't sleep sometimes feel like they're going crazy, because there's this backlog of unresolved feelings and emotions. On the other hand, people who meditate regularly clear the subconscious and need less sleep. Advanced students and masters may only need 2 or 3 hours of sleep to give the physical body the rest it needs. All of our problems and limitations disappear, and we reside in our highest consciousness. We don't remember this upon waking, because we can't integrate this expanded consciousness or universal awareness into our limited perception of the world. We only know that we wake up and we feel refreshed. However, the ancient yogis describe an expanded consciousness brought back from dreamless sleep into dreaming and waking consciousness. And they call this yoga nidra. So we're going to practice a little yoga nidra, but dreams not only help us to deal with repressed thoughts, but they also put us in contact with our higher consciousness. The dark world of repressed conflicts is brightened at moments with rays of light from the more evolved level of consciousness, which is the true ruler of the inner imagery. Dreamless sleep allows consciousness to leave its lower levels and reside in its true center. Yoga Nidra is called semi samadhi, samadhi meaning bliss. Um, it's The sleeper remains alert, observing himself sleep. It is said that those who practice this technique eventually don't need the kind of sleep most of us require. Gandhi used this practice and required 2.5 hours of sleep per night. Turiya is what it's called, is said to be the most highly evolved state of consciousness, uh, like samadhi. Yogis claim the mind does not need to express itself through the use of the brain. The mind, or more correctly, consciousness, is withdrawn from the central nervous system. In this superconscious state, the mind can function without help from the nervous system. So we know that the mind works without the brain, because I remember reading an account of he was an MD and he died of meningitis. And the doctors told his wife that even if he lived, his brain was full of pus. He was going to be a vegetable. So they decided to unplug him and let him die. And right when they were getting ready to unplug him, he sits up in bed and he says, "All is well." And he recovers completely. And he goes and he tells this incredible story about where he went on the other side. And actually, his guide on the other side turned out to be, he found out later, a sister he never knew he had. And so there's more that there's so many things that can't be explained when people have near death experiences, or we have these dreams that tell us what the truth really is. So um, I want to do a little bit of yoga nidra practice, and very simple. There's Yoga nidra has you really work again more on the idea of using images in your mind rather than words. So you get much better skills at seeing what you want to create. Most of our thoughts are verbal and they don't help us visualize what it is that we want to happen in our lives. We're talking in verbal terms. So um, a lot of yoga, and yoga nidra is like any kind of yoga practice. You go through stages of levels of difficulty. I'm going to just keep it at a real simple level where we're going to go through and relax the body, but using images again instead of words. And um, people get very relaxed, and yet the idea is not to go to sleep. And those of you online, there's or in class too, there are you can access a whole bunch of yoga nidra recordings online. So you can just lay in bed and listen to someone put you through some kind of a journey or visualization or experience with yoga nidra, and it does help people with their sleep. It does help you to relax. And again, it's that idea of getting out of the verbal mind and working with images that seems to be very, very helpful for sleep. So if you practice a little yoga nidra and you don't want to go to sleep, you actually want to stay awake. But I know the first time I did it, I went sound asleep and kept going sound asleep. But it was sleep like I'd never had before. It was so I don't know how to say it, so nourishing. So there's a lot of things that you can explore with yoga nidra and do yourself. You can go through a relaxation of your body yourself. They start off with pretty simple things and then work into more elaborate symbols and images. And sometimes it has to be very much individualized images that are meaningful to you. Some of the recordings have you just like imagine you're looking at a sunset, and then imagine you're at the beach and you're watching the waves, and imagine you're in the mountains. Imagine a white sheep. You know, they just have you keep trying to visualize things so you develop your skills in being able to visualize what you want and what you're trying to create. So I encourage you to look into yoga nidra. It's a very interesting thing, and there's I have a book that talks about they go through different levels. You know, where you start with simple things and go into much more elaborate concepts, but it is a way of deeply relaxing your body and going into this. It's not it's not dreaming and it's not deep sleep. It's somewhere in between, but it's very uh, you feel like if 5 minutes of it, you feel like you're taking a 2 hour nap. You know, it really does help to restore the body. So let's try a little yoga nidra. If you'll lie on your back and get comfortable. And so I want you to just start with as you lie back, notice how your back feels against the floor, how your arms and legs feel sinking back against the floor. And seeing your body relax, feeling the body relax, watching the body relax. Notice the breath. The breath when you breathe in feels cool. When you breathe out, it feels warm. Visualize as you're breathing in, you're bringing in oxygen and nutrients that nourish your body. As you breathe out, you're breathing out waste products. You're letting go of that which you no longer need mentally, physically, spiritually. And you allow a feeling of heaviness, feeling of the weight of your body sinking into the floor. As if you're connecting with the core of the earth. And your breath just feels natural, easy. No hurry, no stress. Just this lovely influx of all the nutrients your body needs from the air, from the prana, the vital life force. And the exhalation of letting go of that which no longer serves you. It's cleansing you. So you feel maybe a little lighter, a little brighter. And you hear the sounds in the room. Listen for the sound that's closest to your body. And then the one that's farthest away from your body. And you're still letting your whole body relax. Effortless. And I'm going to take you through each part of your body. And you're going to see each part of your body as I say it and allow it to relax. So we're going to start from your forehead, right between your eyebrows. Relax the third eye, the eye of intuition, the all-knowing eye, inward-looking eye. Relax your forehead. Remember that you have access to infinite knowledge and infinite wisdom through that third eye. Coming down from the third eye to just the upper lip, between the nose, the bottom of your nose and your upper lip. Relax that area. Come down to the chin. Relax your chin. Come down to the throat. Relax your throat. Feel the air moving through your throat. And honoring your words. Words are the most powerful things we have. Words have changed the world. Understand the power of your words. And relax your throat so you can speak your truth. And from your throat, come down to your left shoulder. And come down to your right shoulder. Relax your right shoulder. Soften your shoulder. Come down to your right elbow. Relax your elbow. Come down to your right wrist. All the blood vessels that move from your hand back to your heart need to relax so that flow of nerve and circulation can move all the way to the tips of your fingers. So relax the tip of the thumb. Relax the tip of your index finger. Relax the tip of the middle finger. Relax the tip of the ring finger. Relax the tip of the little finger. Relax the whole hand. And come back to the wrist and relax the wrist. Feeling the hand feel softer and warmer. Come back to the right elbow. Come back to the right shoulder. From the shoulder, come back to the notch in your breastbone. Then shift your attention to the left shoulder. Relax your whole left shoulder. Visualize the shoulder relaxing, the muscles in your shoulder relaxing, softening. Relax the left elbow. Relax the left wrist. And again, think of the blood vessels and the nerves carrying the energy from the heart to your hand. Relax the tip of the thumb on your left hand, the tip of the index finger, the tip of the middle finger, the tip of the ring finger, the tip of the little finger, relax the wrist coming up the arm, relax up to the elbow, relax up to the left shoulder, and from the shoulder back to the notch in your breastbone. And come down from the notch in your breastbone to the breastbone area between the breasts. Relax the chest, upper chest. And then shift your attention to the right breast and relax the whole right breast area. And come back to center and then relax the whole left breast area. And then come back to center and move your attention down to just above your navel. Relax the area above the navel. Let your belly relax. Then relax the area just below your navel. And take your attention to your right hip, relaxing the right hip, the muscles on the surface as well as the deep muscles in your right hip. Visualize those muscles relaxing, softening. And come down from the right hip to the right knee. Relax your knee. Come down to the ankle, relaxing your ankle. Relax the arch of your foot. Relax the right big toe, the right second toe, the right third toe, the right fourth toe, the right fifth toe. The whole foot feels relaxed. And bring your attention back to the ankle, the right ankle. The ankle up to the knee. From the knee up to the right hip. From the right hip up to just below the navel. And then we'll move to the left hip, relaxing the left hip, the whole left hip. Relax the left knee. Relax the left ankle. Relax the left heel and the arch of your foot. Relax the left big toe, the left second toe, the left third toe, the left fourth toe, the left little toe, whole foot relaxed. And bring your attention up to the ankle, up to the left knee, up to the left hip, up to the space right below the navel. And from your navel, I want you to take your awareness to the base of your spine, on the back side of your body. And I want you to slowly move your attention upward, relaxing each vertebra. So come up from the tailbone, up to the lower spine, relaxing your back, through the low back area, just above your hips, letting your weight sink into the floor. Coming up to the thoracic spine, which is where our ribs start attaching to the spine. So you feel the rib cage relax as you continue up the spine through the thoracic spine. You have 12 thoracic vertebrae. Coming up the spine towards the shoulders, relaxing your back. Up to the base of the neck. Relaxing up through the neck, 7 cervical vertebrae. Coming up the scalp, up the back of the head, relaxing the scalp, up to the top of the head. And coming back down to the brow point where we started, relaxing the brow point between the eyebrows. And feel your whole body relaxed. Your circulation moving effortlessly. Your breathing is effortless. Your awareness of your body is heightened, so you can feel your circulation move. You can feel how your cells are nourished from the blood that's carried to your cells. And you're aware of this beautiful balance in your body and all the amazing things your body does without you even having to think about it. And you take a moment to thank your body for all the things that it does. And then we're going to bring our attention back to the room. I'm going to count backwards from 10. And when I finish counting back to 1, you'll feel awake, refreshed. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a deep breath in and out. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Rotate your wrists and ankles. Allow yourself to wake back up. You can move a little side to side in a twisting movement, stretching out your back a little bit if you want. And in Kundalini Yoga, we like to wake up by rubbing the soles of the feet together and rubbing the palms together, because you have 72,000 nerve endings in the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. And you feel more awake and alert when you rub those together. And then you can rock a little on your spine if you want to, or just come sitting back up. So again, Yoga Nidra has lots of practices. We start by just learning to relax the body and visualize the body, but there's also very interesting images, and it again helps your body to get into that non-verbal state, the state of using images rather than words to help us relax and go to sleep. So I'm going to conclude today with, we often close our yoga class with what we call a long Sat Nam. So we'll just chant Sat Nam, and then I'll hang out if anybody wants to me to answer any questions. Okay, so rub your palms together, thumbs against the breastbone, deep breath in and out. And to begin, Sat Nam. Sat Nam. Thank you for coming today. Hope you learned something about how to sleep more peacefully. And use all the meditations. They're wonderful. They work well. And I'll hang out if anybody online has questions. I can answer any questions. Or anybody in the room have any questions? I
I'm
can
gonna
answer
take a nap
questions.
now.